Do you feel like the price of gaming has been creeping up fast? Because if so, you're not the only one.
All the games have gone up in price.
They're getting a bit greedy.
Xbox and PlayStation just announced more price hikes, and Grand Theft Auto 6 reportedly cost more than £1 billion to make.
You can't play all the games you want to play, you just got to save up a bit.
It looks like things are only going to get worse.
There's a risk that gaming will become a luxury hobby rather than a hobby for everybody.
Now, we could just blame rising prices on game executives wanting to make oodles of cash, but it's not as simple as that. This is what's actually going on in gaming and why it might be about to become unaffordable. The UK has a good pedigree when it comes to video games. Up in Edinburgh, Rockstar are putting the final touches on Grand Theft Auto 6. Derby is the fairly unlikely birthplace of Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. It was a team of developers in Brighton that helped put the British polish on the new blockbuster James Bond game. And around the country, we have hives of studios working on some of the world's biggest games. Here in Guildford, there's around 36 gaming companies, and this one, Criterion, which is part of EA, has been making games for the last 30 years. Now it exclusively works on Battlefield, EA's ultimate all-out warfare experience.
I remember the first game I worked on development. It was myself and a coder, and I used to pick up the phone and talk to him, and I did the QV, he would do some bug fixing and come back. Now you're looking at these massive studios, thousands of people going on. Even now, we can't fit everyone who builds Battlefield in a building like this.
30 years ago, when Criterion opened its doors as a gaming studio, there was a boom happening. That year, the Nintendo 64 launched in the UK, and the first PlayStation had just hit the shelves. Core Design released Tomb Raider to massive acclaim, and a team of Scottish developers was secretly working on a little title known then as Race and Chase. Of course, that's now one of the world's best-selling games, Grand Theft Auto. And crucially, it was the end of the bedroom coders, who up to that point had been making games in their spare time. Now games were becoming more sophisticated, and so were the teams that were making them. Polished, well-equipped studios like Criterion popped up.
It was just like this new frontier. Every week, every game that was coming out was pushing in a slightly different way as we were going forward. So yeah, it was really exciting times back then.
In 1996, if we look at the average price of an N64 game cartridge like this, Super Mario 64, it was around £50, depending on where you bought it. When you adjust for inflation, that's just over £100 in today's money, so games were really expensive.
The main reason why they were more expensive in the past was that it costs money to produce video games physically. And you literally had to manufacture things like cartridges where you could put the game onto it and spread it around the world.
But over the years, the market got more saturated and prices had to become more competitive. So games got a tiny bit cheaper, relatively speaking, even though you can see this line very slightly inching up. And despite how it feels, the price of games has actually stayed quite stable. Consoles, on the other hand, have been getting steadily more expensive. And with Xbox saying it needs to put up prices further, it looks like that's only going to get worse. But why are consoles, and therefore gaming, getting more expensive? Well, first we need to look at every tech bro's favourite invention, artificial intelligence. Everyone wants a piece of the AI pie, and they're buying the hardware to prove it. There's been shortages in key computer components related to processing speed and memory that have pushed up the prices of consoles and put even more people off buying them. Donald Trump also had a hand in those price increases by forcing US console makers to pay tariffs for their imported hardware. For example, Xbox just announced that their Xbox Series S and X consoles are going to be 30 to 40% more expensive than they were this time last year, despite the fact they've been on the market for 5 years. They said this was down to console storage and memory prices increasing rapidly. PlayStation did the same this year, increasing the price of their PS5 by 19%. They blamed continued pressures on the global economic landscape.
If your consoles are going up in price, you're going to sell fewer games. And if you're selling fewer games, that means the games themselves are likely to have to go up in price.
Then we need to look at gamers and how most of us actually play games now.
We used to make games, we used to make them for ourselves. Like there used to be a mantra of, if we're not having fun, our players aren't having fun. So you had this kind of small ecosystem. Now it's different genders, different age groups playing, and we have to work really hard.
The first video games were arcade games. Then the home consoles arrived and we played in our living rooms. But soon we weren't even confined to the house. Portable consoles like Game Boys and then the Nintendo DS and then the Switch meant we could play anywhere. But of course, we've been able to play anywhere for years. Our phones have fundamentally changed how and what we play. Some places have been quicker to catch on to that than others.
The emergence particularly of mobile devices and the smartphone, that suddenly led to the audience for people who play growing from maybe sort of hundreds of millions to billions of people who play. With a lot of game developers, there's been a bit of a painful adjustment process to that.
And finally, there's the scale of the games themselves. Zelda Breath of the Wild wasn't the first open-world game by any stretch of the imagination. Studios had been developing huge, increasingly complex games for years, but it changed what gamers expected. Players suddenly expected to have more control over their game, the ability to explore wherever they fancied, and to take it at their own pace.
Our games used to be played in a weekend, where you used to be able to go through, and that used to be super accessible. Within a few minutes, you'd understand what the core game mechanic is, and you'd go through there. Now we're having conversations like, how do we build Battlefield so it's there for thousands of hours, right? Literally 1,000-hour experiments for our players.
The high expectations of gamers have already caused issues in the industry. Some huge games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring, were both delayed as studios tried to push the boundaries of what is possible. And GTA 6 is maybe the most high-profile example of that.
I've already got the pre-orders, so I'm definitely excited, definitely. Yeah, it's something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. It's obviously like 5+ years since they've made a new one.
It's thought the game's original release date was May 2025. By the time the date was publicly announced, however, it was to come out in November that year instead. That was soon scrapped, with the team saying they needed extra time to deliver at the level of quality you expect. They said it would come out in May this year. Then another delay, this time until November 2026. According to the team, those extra months would allow them to finish the game with the level of polish that you've come to expect and deserve.
I'll be happy if GTA 6 turns out well, but then they're also, I think, saying it's going to be at £80.
The way we play games is changing rapidly. And I mean, the thing is, a lot of the new games coming out do look incredible. Whether everyone can afford to play them is a different matter entirely.